creating art on YouTube. If you have ever heard my name, it's probably in association with a web series called The Guild that was written and starring Coach Day. And I'm really excited to be moderating this panel about creating art on YouTube because even though I ended up being a producer, I started out as a creator, and I love the process more than anything. You know, the project was great, but the process is really important to me. So let's go down the line. I'm just going to have you guys introduce yourselves and, you know, tell everybody who may not know who you are what you do.
My name is Doodles, and I do time-lapse drawings and paintings with watercolor and ink and tutorials and all that good stuff.
Hi, I'm Becky, Sloan. I work for Joe here. We make a show called Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. It's a short series about puppets teaching the most important subjects of the universe.
Yeah, Becky covered that. I'm Joseph Pelling, and I work with Becky, Puppets, and Universe.
Hello, this is my first panel at my first Vidcon, so I'm very nervous. And I've been blogging on YouTube for about 10 years, and art's been a bit of my, it's been a really important thing in my life for a long time. And only around this year I started an art channel, so just filming myself and creating anything I want. So time lapses, things like that, so that's me.
I've got to steal this from you. I'm Lex from Madeyewlook. I do body painting and obviously creative stuff, since this is a creative panel. And I do creatures and characters and stuff like that.
Great, thank you guys. So how many of you guys are you're all in the creator track. How many of you have an art channel on YouTube? And you're here, okay, a lot of you. I imagine that you're looking for some advice. So we're going to start off with the question that we always get at the end of the Q&A. I just want to go again and have everybody tell you, what advice can you give to somebody doing what you do on YouTube that you wish that you had known before you started?
I would say, I'm saying something. I'd say the advice I wish I'd gotten was that you have permission. You don't have to look to somebody else for the permission to do the thing that you want to do. And I know like YouTube has, as it's grown and become more of a way to make money and become a business, people are trying to figure out how to hack it and like what's the do's and the don'ts, and always keep your videos this length, post at these times. And honestly, you have permission to do the thing you want to do, and then use the platform to figure out how that can fit your work instead of cramming your work into the platform.
I guess for us it depends what you want to do. I think we've kind of, over the sort of short time we've been making what we make, we've kind of decided that the important thing is to focus on the work and the film and stuff like that, rather than the surrounding kind of social media side of it. And we try to sort of let the work speak for itself. Obviously the social media side is important to what we kind of do, but we always think the work comes first, and I think it took us a while to sort of figure out how important that was as an idea. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I think especially with us as well, like our work does take a long time, so like don't feel like you have to just churn out stuff sometimes. Like, I mean, yeah, our stuff, sometimes we put 2 films out a year on our channel. So, yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen Becky and Joe's channel, please check it out. It's called Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. And it's like if David Lynch got a hold of Sesame Street, basically. It is, it's delightful, and then it's creepy, and then it's crazy, and it's funny. It's great. I mean, it has puppets. But it's really hard to describe. Do you guys have like a one-liner that you said that actually gives sort of the tone?
No, we don't.
It's that hard to describe.
We struggle to sum it up in a sentence.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Becky.
Hello. So one of my motives is try everything. So for me, I sort of started with an idea in my head. I'd do time lapses and that would be it. But actually, the more I did, and I'm still sort of in that period of discovering what I'm good at, it's interesting how you can start off with one idea and progress to something else. So I was inspired by another artist on YouTube who did a sky painting, and I thought I would have a go at that. I can't pronounce it, marsupial pudding. She's there, which is awesome. So I did a video inspired by her, and then I found that I was actually pretty good at this type of painting, and then I did more and more, and before you know it, that became a focus for 2 months. So being inspired by other creators can really help. Don't feel like you have to create a channel specifically for one type of art. So, for example, painting, acrylic painting, or oil paintings, or clay. Trying to find what you're good at is fantastic, but also trying to find your niche. I'm contradicting myself. Trying to find different things that you're good at as well is pretty good. It shows that you're also a versatile artist as well. You're not just stuck in one band. I hope that makes sense. Right, I'll pass it down.
I know you have to pick it up. It's heavy. My advice to people starting out would just be literally do what you love to do. It doesn't matter if you think other people are going to think it's weird. Chances are people might think it's cool. You're going to find people online that are going to like the stuff that you like, and you guys are going to make friends online. You're going to have a blast, honestly. Like, don't think, oh, I came up with this idea and I just don't know. Stop second guessing yourself and just do it. There's really no reason not to do exactly what you want to do.
So along those lines, all of you have very, very different channels, but you all put a lot of your personal lives into them. So how did you just give me an overview, how did you begin and how did you evolve to where you are today? Just for people who are like, I kind of want to do a channel, but I'm not sure, it's one thing to say like, do what you love, but how do you know that? How do you find that?
Yeah, I definitely was always the kid who draws a lot, and then in high school I discovered video and film. This was like just a few years before YouTube. So when I was picking colleges and trying to think of my future and what I'd do forever, in my mind it was one or the other. You can't do everything. I can't do theater, art, and film. I have to choose. And it really came to this beautiful moment where through some friends, they helped me realize, oh, you can combine all these things together and make it work and figure out how to do that one thing.
So what did you put up first?
My very first thing was, my very first video was a coming soon video, and then I posted something very similar to what I'm doing now, where it's an overhead shot of a watercolor painting of a character, and then I just opened it up, asking for suggestions and keeping open to what people want to see and challenges that come my way.
Okay.
And I came from a fine art background. I used to make sort of puppets and props, and Joe came from an animation background. And I think, I personally was in a job I hated, and me and Joe often chatted about making a short film together. And we knew we wanted to do something with puppets, and it was something we just worked on in our spare time, and we didn't really have a plan necessarily for where we were going to put the film when we made it. We were just making it for self-enjoyment, really. And we ended up putting it on YouTube, and it went viral. And it just seemed like this perfect platform because it's so free and it's available for everyone to see. We didn't want it to just sort of keep it as a private thing in terms of sending it to festivals and stuff like that. So we just wanted to sort of share it, and it's a way of getting instant sort of feedback and just being able to share it around.
Yeah, I think it was kind of an accident in a weird way, but it worked out for us. And I think we were surprised by how much the kind of audience responded to something that we thought only our friends and us would sort of really understand or kind of get. So I think there was something in that for us, to sort of trusting that other people would enjoy it in a similar way.
For me, as I said, I've been working for 10 years, and art was a major thing in my offline life. So it's my favourite subject at school, I studied it at college and then university. So it sort of appeared in my channel every now and again, so I just hold up something, or I'd say I've been busy and hold up my art books. But then last year I did 2 time-lapse videos, I posted them on my main channel and I had a really good response back, and it sort of gave me that boost to try something new. And when I did go to try it for the new channel, I didn't know whether it would take off or anything. I worried, I was terrified that I'd post videos and they'd just disappear. But people moved over from my main channel and it's sort of grown from there, which I'm very grateful for. So if you are in the room, thank you. But yeah, I don't think I would be in this position if I didn't have my vlogging channel sort of there beforehand, because it sort of gave me a connection with people that I wouldn't have had if I'd started from scratch, so that did help. So yeah, that's how I got to where I am.
Okay, I'm 100% not gonna lie, I completely forgot what the question was. So, I'm sitting down here, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, it's not coming back to me. So what was the question? Leave it to Lex.
Just how did you start out? How did you decide what it was that you loved to do?
Okay, great, yes. Okay, so I started body painting when I was 13 years old, so I've been doing this for so much longer than when I actually started on YouTube. And it was just a matter of moving my passion onto a different platform and onto sharing it with other people instead of just, putting eyeshadow all over my face and body painting myself by myself in my room in front of a mirror, which actually I kind of still do that today, except I film it with a camera and post it online. So it's a little bit odd. But yeah, I got started because it was a passion for me, and it was a release of my emotions that I was dealing with throughout life. And I decided to start posting on YouTube, so hopefully my passion can inspire other people and help out other people, which luckily I can say that today, I know at least I can inspire one person and make their day better and express themselves through art.
Cool. And Becky Jane, you do a similar thing. You have trichotillomania. Is that how you
That's close, but don't worry, it's a very complicated word.
What is it?
So I have a disorder called trichotillomania, where basically I tear out my hair. It's similar to OCD, so some people in the room may actually have this. So I actually have 3 channels, which it's proving a bit tough to maintain, but I'm trying my best. So main channel, art channel, just channel about my disorder and mental health in general. So I hope that's what you meant.
Yes, yes. I was just curious, how does and for you too, Lex, because I know that you also do a lot of work, awareness with your diabetes. So do these things actually, what's the word? Sorry, I have a new baby, I've been it's fun. How do they work together? How do they influence your influence? That's what it is.
Okay. So being diabetic, a lot of struggles that I went through after being diagnosed and things like that was that a lot of people, I think, when they are first diagnosed with something that they might struggle with or might not understand, is that they feel very alone. I always like to tell people on YouTube, we're just people that I meet, that art really is just expression, like 110%. Anything you're feeling that day, if you're having a bad day, paint yourself into a demon. It doesn't matter as long as you can express it. And really, art is such a positive thing. You can take such a negative day or such like something that's rough in your life and just turn it into a piece of art, and that might inspire other people or make them feel emotions, or it's almost like storytelling, I guess, painting.
So Becky and me, sorry, hello. That's the 4th time I said hello. For me, I do find that things like our disorders or problems, you don't have to have a disorder to have troubles in your life. Anything that makes you feel upset in my life does actually help me create, whether it be YouTube or art. Like today, I'm extremely nervous. I'm more nervous than I expected to be. So I went and sat in one of the rooms upstairs and I just sat doodling in the Patreon lounge. So I've got all these doodles in a notebook from earlier, and I don't think, without that anxiety, I wouldn't have been able to have created those things. So yeah, sometimes it can be really good. In terms of painting, I find some of the stuff I create is when I'm my most worst self, if that makes sense, when I'm really unhappy. So yeah, it helps me process the sad times, I suppose. I do still paint when I'm happy, but I do find, I create better stuff when I'm sad.
Yeah. You don't have to be a tortured artist.
No.
But it helps sometimes. Now, Mira, you do the opposite. You do sketch comedy and other things like that?
Yeah, veering away from the torture. On the side in real life, I do improv comedy, and early on I got into doing theater and realized like how awesomely fun it is to express yourself in that realm, and it does kind of go hand in hand with visual art too, at least the way I do it. I like to create characters and tell some kind of story through like a tableau, like a snapshot of characters or scenes or concepts. And it is like, it all just kind of boils down to taking in something that you've observed, whether it's from like outside, like in other people or an event, or like something you're feeling if you're going through something, whether it's good or bad, and then absorbing that, acknowledging it, and then reflecting it back out into the world, but having filtered through yourself. And that can be done like with pencils and paper or paints, or like with the body and with motion and movement. And comedy, I love. Comedy's just like such, for me, it's a default. It's like if all else fails, if I can find humor in it, it kind of makes everything easier.
And Joe and Becky, you told me in the green room that you work in commercials. So you go from probably really large budgets and having a lot of people at your disposal, and then going and working on Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. So can you talk about the challenges of working and bringing really high quality to a medium where you don't have?
Occasionally we do like commercials and stuff where we've got, in order to sort of like have a job and stuff like that. But we're really blessed because we know so many great artists and other people who want to help us out. Like, we have such a great team for Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, and who basically lend their time to the project because they, I hope it's because they like it. So yeah, it's been a kind of labour of love really, and I guess we've got lots and lots and lots of people to thank for Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, because so much of it just comes down to people giving us their time, basically.
And are the rest of you, are you guys able to collaborate? Do you collaborate with other artists or other YouTubers at all?
Yeah.
How do you do it?
So for me, because I'm a body painting channel, usually when I do my collaborations, I'll paint the other person into pretty much whatever they want. I think a lot of art channels, I think maybe not a bunch do collaborate, but I always think that there is a way that you are able to do a collaboration. Like, even if you're stuck, like even if you draw on paper or something, like it might be cool to take inspiration from somebody else and like almost kind of do a draw of their life kind of thing. That might be a cool thing to do. But yeah, so I know for my channel, I usually paint them up as a different character and kind of bring them into my world. It's a scary world.
You do some stuff, right?
Yeah, for me, I've found like music collabs are the easiest ones because it's time lapse and I set it to music. And I do love seeing different art formats melting together. But I have been like trying to figure out how to collaborate with other visual artists. I love the concept of like how many ways to draw a cat, let's say, or like you get one theme and see how many different directions different people take it.
I wanted to ask you too, because you have some recurring things on your channel, like
Yes.
you did, So when you have an idea, do you think of the idea and then do you think, I wonder if that's going to be able to recur, or do you just throw it up there just because and then see what happens?
A lot of times I try to throw it up there. I definitely have a problem with overthinking things, and I think that's also where improv especially comes in, where it's like, whose line is it anyway? You get a suggestion and then you do like a scene in front of people, and whether it's amazing or horrible, it disappears and is never done again. And I'm trying to apply that more to my art these days, rather than overthinking what the piece will be. Just see what comes, and even if I have just a stroke or scribble, I can somehow like find that arc and make it a full fleshed out thing. So it's sometimes things do reoccur, and there's themes to like continue to invest in and explore and perhaps make it to something bigger.
And you sell your art, right?
I do, yeah.
And Becky, you sell your art? Yes. And so all of you make a living. Do all of you make a living with YouTube? No. Yes, no?
We try. We do get some. Yeah, we get some money from YouTube through sort of like the adverts and stuff. And we sell T-shirts and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, we still have to do like commercials and stuff to allow for us to carry on doing what we love and we enjoy and stuff. Also, we did do a Kickstarter for the series, so we've got like the fans to thank for being able to do that. Because yeah, we raised money to make the whole series through that.
And at what point did you decide to do the Kickstarter? I know a lot of people think, oh, that should be easy, like I can just put that up there, but what were some of the challenges of Kickstarter?
Well, yeah, and I think we especially had quite a few challenges, I think. One thing that I think our work is the series is so labour intensive, it was hard to judge how long it would take to make, and it took a lot longer than we thought, so I think we're like a year late delivering the final episode.
Yeah.
But luckily everyone's been very nice. But also I think we wanted it so much, so we offered like we thought they were good prizes, so we're still actually doing those gifts now. And we had an incident where a kid in America actually committed credit card fraud and funded our Kickstarter with about £40,000. So that was a bit of a hiccup, yeah. I nearly fell over because I was so excited, and I called Joe and was like, we did it! And then Joe was like a bit suspicious about it. I was like, oh no, this is odd. And he just, he was like this 13-year-old kid, I think. It was really nice. He wanted to see the show, so but then everyone started stopping, like pledging and removing pledges, so it was quite stressful.
Yeah, but there were some positive sides to it as well.
Yeah.
Because I guess in the end we were able to do it the way we wanted to do it, rather than trying to take it to someone else who might want to own some of it in a way. So it was good. It was a good move, I think.
And Becky Jane, you do Patreon, yes?
Yes. So
Can you talk about that a bit?
I love Patreon. Patreon is one of the reasons why I'm able to do what I'm doing. So again, thank you to the creators. For me, I was very reluctant to start crowdfunding because it sort of feels as though once people start supporting me, you kind of have to, you owe them some form of like creativity, and sometimes you go through art blocks or creative blocks. So I was so nervous that I wouldn't fulfill, I wouldn't keep going, but I seemed to be okay. What I found was, for me, it was just getting started. So when I first put things up, I was like, well, this is what I intend to do. And I showed them stuff that I'd done before. So it wasn't a case of me just saying, hey, this is what I want to do, support me. I really did show that I could do what I wanted to do if I had the support. But yeah, now they've helped me buy lots of equipment and things to set myself up, and now I've opened a shop. So I'm going to sort of bring the Patreon down and start trying to focus on myself. So if it wasn't for the people helping, I wouldn't be able to have that jump board. So I love Patreon.
And Mary, you have a Patreon also?
I do. It's kind of gotten stagnant because I ran into the same issue of over-promising with the rewards, and I am planning on going through and just consolidating it and figuring out, okay, what can I actually deliver on without making this my second job and making it worthwhile for everyone involved. I think a big part of it was I was undervaluing what I do, so I kind of felt like, oh, you gave me money, I'm so sorry, I gotta give you like twice as much back or something. It's that issue of like asking for things always feels bleh, like no one wants to do that. And most artists, I feel, like undervalue their work, so it's extra weird. But yeah, it's reaching that point where I'd like to do more and therefore hire a friend to edit and therefore pay them for their time. And therefore, now it's like, oh, if I'm needing to pay someone else, I'm a little more inspired to actually raise those funds.
Right. That brings me to another question that I have for all of you, because my husband does YouTube, so I know how intense it is to do it. So being that you're artists, how do you deal with burnout? Because you have to put your product out so often. So Lex, you want to start and we'll go down this way?
Sure. Yeah, I think everybody runs into creative block every once in a while. I mean, especially if you're putting videos out like once a week, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. It can be pretty intense. When it comes time for like, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. I always get my audience involved in general. Like, I like to know what they want to see from me, like what would interest them, like kind of what's going on. So when I run into a creative block and I'm really like, I don't know what to do, I'll always reach out and be like, hey, what's a series you guys want to see next? Is there anything you want to learn more about? Like, tell me what you want from me. You know, help me out here. I want to know. I want to be involved. So I think that really helps me out. And then also, I think a lot of times too, when you're making YouTube videos, you spend a lot of time alone by yourself in your room. And I think that getting out of the house really helps, because that way you're actually inspired by the world around you instead of just thinking so hard about what you want to do. You can get inspiration from other people and just whatever you see around you.
Well, for me, having a background as a blogger, what I've tended to do is to alternate between creating a visual piece of art and vlogging. So in that time, in that extra week that I've got in between the 2 visual videos, I've got more time to paint. And also, again, it sort of builds an audience, builds a connection with your audience. And again, you can ask them what sort of things they'd like. And in that time, you can also hold up the stuff you're doing and get some sort of response, so that the next time you create something visual, you're on the same wavelength with your audience. So yeah, I found vlogging pretty helpful. And it also gets my thoughts out, because when you do things like time lapses, people don't necessarily know what you're thinking or how you mentally got from A to B. So vlogging your process sort of also helps in between. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess we don't really have, I mean, because we upload so much slower than everyone else. But then I guess we still feel the pressure of feeling like we have to. And we occasionally will do things like release little weird sort of teasers, like cryptic little teasers and images and stuff like that, just to let everyone know that we are, you know, building and making stuff. And then hopefully that will kind of keep people interested in and looking out for the next film.
Yeah, I think sometimes it would take so long on an episode that people would think we'd like run off with the money or something, so we have to like
given up. Yeah.
Or given up. So yeah, we just try and post these little teasers to reassure everyone we're still going. I think if we have a creative block in terms of like writing, which does happen a lot with us, there's always so much going on, so much to do in terms of like the set build and the props and the puppets that we can always be, and like the animation, so we can always be working on something. So if we're not having a good day of writing, we can always be sort of moving the show along in some way.
Yeah, I'm a fan of when it starts getting too stressful and you're burning yourself out, like stepping back, which is the hardest thing to do. Because for me, it's always like, oh, but I need to like make something amazing and just like get it out there and go, go, go. And sometimes like less is more, and like if I travel, if I leave the town that I spend so much time in, if I at least leave the room where I'm glued to my screen editing, that can do so much more for me. Because when I'm burned out, then I make garbage, and no one likes it. And it's a great idea what Lex said, is like reaching out and just saying like, anybody tell me what to do, because I don't want to come up with the great original idea. And that's usually where the discoveries happen too. Sometimes like ideas will come from the audience that you've never even thought of, and that's the thing they soak up the most.
That's really exciting.